Hello, I'm Elena Davlikanova, a democracy fellow with the Center for European Policy Analysis, and welcome to Understanding Ukraine, a series of conversations with Ukrainian decision makers, opinion leaders, and experts that focuses on a variety of topics to better understand Ukraine, its current war against Russia, the future of the Ukrainian people, and Ukraine's relationships with partners and allies. And it is my honor today to have this conversation with Yaroslav Yurchyshyn, a Ukrainian MP, the Holos party, and first deputy chairman of the Commission on Anti-Corruption Policies. Thank you very much, Pane Yaroslav, for joining us today. And we will be talking about Ukraine's anti-corruption efforts. So my first question to you would be as follows. For a long time in the West, Ukraine was synonymous with corruption. In 2022, it rated 118 out of 180 countries on the Transparency International Anti-Corruption Perception Index. And since even before the war, Ukraine has invested a lot in preventing corruption, in fighting corruption. So how fair is the perception of Ukraine as a symbol of corruption?
It's not fair. I don't know a nation which in full-scale war aggression will still fighting with corruption and show even better result, for example, in corruption perception index as Ukraine. If we analyze leaders, if we take a long period, for example, 10 years, it's quite long period for human being, but still it's a very short period in history of nation, Ukraine show a prominent result because we add more than 6 points. We receive additionally 6 points in corruption perception index, better as only few countries, for example, Italy, Greece, which have slightly more than 10, Armenia, which have 10. So Ukraine not only still fighting with corruption in period of war, but have a good result due well and full working anti-corruption infrastructure, which, thanks for our Western alliance, we launched after Revolution on Dignity, and now this infrastructure show a good result, and I hope in the nearest future even better.
Thank you very much. You mentioned this whole anti-corruption infrastructure built in Ukraine after 2014. How do you assess its effectiveness and what is being done currently to prevent misuse of current spendings of Ukraine's budget, also of the international aid, and also private investors' money?
Our anti-corruption infrastructure, if its infrastructure will show the same result or even better result in the future, we can be 100% sure that misusing of budget or private money which come to Ukraine as investigation will not happen in general. Why I can say that? Because now we see that in Ukraine we don't have any untouchable governors. Even in time of war, we see investigation and even jailed deputy head of Ministry of Occupied Territory, for example, or several judges, different level of our judiciary system. And yes, a lot of this investigation was started with information of our businesses, not only Ukrainian, but international businesses which are worked in Ukraine and still working even in time of war. And the high level of transparency and accountability, the high level of standards of Western businesses causes collaboration with our infrastructure, anti-corruption infrastructure. Due to that, yes, we work a lot to create a more transparent and accountable system for renewal Ukraine, for tackle with some misusing of money which can come as for rebuilding. And still, yes, our anti-corruption infrastructure, one of the main point of this work.
Well, you once said that Western allies understand Ukraine is fighting two wars, one against Russia and another one is internal, and it is for the future of Ukraine, and it is against corruption. However, this year started with a huge corruption scandal, and this made a minority of American decision makers to address Biden's administration, saying that the amount of support to Ukraine should be limited. So my question to you, if they were listening to us, what would you tell them?
First of all, we must understand why now we have a lot of cases. Before, we don't have it previously. So really, only 2 years ago, when we launched High Anti-Corruption Court, we start to fight with corruption in proper way. But still war starting, many of cases was not stopped, but in such period of time frozen. And when our army deliberate Kiev region and nearest region, its cases start again. Because of that, yes, we have result now, and it's create like a vision that, wow, Ukraine become even more corrupted in this way, but it's not. Now we have a result. Because of that, we see these cases. Because of that, we see jailed high-level governance, and you don't see that in Russia, in Belarus, in our totalitarian country. So, what I can recommend to other colleagues from Western businesses, private and not only private funds or some investors, invest in Ukraine. We have possibility to tackle with corruption. We have possibility to save your money for misused or some unclear hand of post-Soviet governance, but still what we need, it's collaboration with our investigators. When somebody try to bribe you, try to push you to give something unfair, only work, give this information for our anti-corruption infrastructure, and they really find the way how to solve this problem in a measure of our law system. Yes, we will have some problem and still had it in our in Ukraine. Why? Because our democracy, it's not a democracy of USA with 100 years of process. We democracy in transition, but we democracy with even in wartime fighting with corruption and have appropriate result. Somebody this result create perception that corruption become even more highest level when we have previously. But its result, it's more symptom that we become more healthy and our democracy have results in fighting with corruption.
I hope that American and world investors will hear your address and would invest in Ukraine in its reconstruction. And my final question to you is as follows. How do you see the future of Ukraine?
We can say that we will be democracy, part of Western world. We is, but still not like officially. I think in the nearest future we win this war, not only we as Ukrainians, but we as a Western alliance with Ukraine. And Ukraine will be in European Union, we in Western cycle of values. Because of that, we will be, when we must be for our mentality, for our values.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're
And
welcome.
thank you for watching this episode of Understanding Ukraine. If you're interested in our work, please visit cepa.org.